Morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope I can talk loud enough. My coughing is bad this day, so I may be muting a lot. Let's see if I can find a cough drop. Let's see. So I'm gonna grab a cough drop. Hopefully that will help. And I just wanted to pop on here today and go over two short videos from the summer clinic. And if you're he posts them on in the Facebook group and also on his YouTube channel. So I'm hoping you're following that. But just wanted to, you know, keep you up to speed on some of the stuff that they're talking about. And I thought this was really interesting. So I'm going to open that up and we're going to go over it. Let's see though if I've got hmm I don't see it. I have a disclaimer screen somewhere. I didn't think to look for it. Fair use disclaimer. I don't think there's any issue because I know they want the information out, but this is being used for educational purposes, commentary, fair use. You have been disclaimed. I'm going to have to find my fair use disclaimer screen and pop it up here, but I will do that maybe next time. So let me jump on over and get my screen share going here and we'll look and see. I haven't watched these yet, so we are going to be watching it together. All right, so there are two that are very
This is
recent.
such a fascinating
I, is this an interview? Looks like it might be an interview. Okay, then I want to see if I can get rid of all the other crap on the side, which I don't know what that is, and get the main screen here. Here we go. Now, and I'm going to start this back. It sounds like it might be an interview, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna mute while I eat my cough drop.
story. It's not just about a psychological condition. It's about how this hidden world of suffering finally found its voice, its name, and its validation. And it all happened because of a force the scientific community just never saw coming: the internet. Just think about that for a second. This is a real message, one of thousands sent by people all over the world. It's this desperate plea from someone who's lost in a world inside their own head, a world so vivid and so consuming that real life just kind of fades away. It really gets to the heart of the struggle we're going to explore today. And that really is the central question, isn't it? For so many people, these rich, detailed worlds they built in their minds, as a refuge, they started to feel more like a cage. And for years, they were convinced they were the only ones locked inside. Okay, so let's dive into how this all started. Our story doesn't begin on some online forum, but in a quiet psychologist's office back in the early 2000s, where one man started to notice a very strange recurring pattern.
So this is Professor Eli Summer. He's a trauma specialist, so he was used to his patients disconnecting from reality in all sorts of ways. But this was different. He had 6 patients, all around the same time, who were talking about spending huge chunks of their day completely absorbed in these elaborate fictional worlds that they'd created. This wasn't just your average mind wandering. This was something else entirely.
One of his patients just described it perfectly. She said it was like a switch would just flip in her head, and boom, suddenly she wasn't there anymore. She was in this other world that was more exciting, more perfect, and just dangerously addictive. And she felt completely powerless, just watching her real life, her job, her friends, slip right through her fingers. She hated herself for it, but she just couldn't stop.
So at this point, Somer knew he was onto something really significant. He had these 6 really detailed case studies, and he started to connect the dots, trying to figure out the architecture of these incredible inner worlds. And what he found was a really clear pattern. For these patients, the daydreaming wasn't random at all. No, it was a tool. It was an escape from pain, a way for them to connect with this stronger, idealized version of themselves. The stories often revolved around power and control, the very things they felt they were lacking in their real lives. He even noticed this weird physical connection. A lot of them would pace around, or rock back and forth, or make these little repetitive movements to really sink deeper into the fantasy. So he had to give this thing a name. But he was hesitant to just jump in and call it a disorder. I mean, that's a heavy label, and it requires years and years of research. So he picked something that was more descriptive and cautious: maladaptive daydreaming. Maladaptive just means it was getting in the way of a person's ability to function. And in 2002, he published his findings.
So Sommer publishes his paper, right? And he's probably expecting calls from his colleagues, maybe some healthy debate, some interest from other researchers who might have seen the same thing. And instead, he got crickets. Nothing.
For 6 long years, there was just absolute silence from the academic world. The paper was completely ignored. It was like he'd shouted into the void. He actually moved on, started focusing on other research, and it really seemed like the story of maladaptive daydreaming was over before it even really began. But quietly, under the surface, something else was starting to happen. And this, right here, is where the story takes a massive turn. Because while all the experts were silent, the people who were actually living this experience were starting to search for answers online. And eventually, they stumbled upon Sommer's forgotten paper.
I just want to say, I don't know if they're going to mention it. They probably won't mention it in here, but I have come in contact with so many people who all found information about this on Wild Minds forum. The old days before Facebook, there was online forums and more like a Reddit kind of thing in a way, but less commercialized. And there was one called Wild Minds. That's where I ended up when I started searching my symptoms, trying to figure out what the heck was going on in my brain. I ended up at Wild Minds, and it was a safe place where other people were having the same issues. So, like I said, I don't think they're going to mention it. They say people stumbled upon his paper. I think more people probably found the Wild Minds forum and then maybe connected it through there, probably. But let's see what they say.
All of a sudden, his inbox started to fill up. I mean, first it was a trickle, and then it was just a flood of emails from all over the planet. And the messages were so raw, so emotional, and they all said some version of the exact same thing. That's me. You wrote about me. For the very first time, they realized they weren't crazy and they weren't alone. But these emails weren't just thank you notes. They were a call to action. People were literally begging him, please don't stop your research. They needed a name, a concept, something they could use to explain this consuming struggle to their families, their doctors, and even to themselves. And this one person, wow, they put it so powerfully. They said finding that article was like getting a passport to the real world. It gave them legitimacy. It was proof that their private prison was real, and that maybe, just maybe, there was a way out. This grassroots movement, this huge chorus of voices from the internet, it pulled Sommer right back into the research he thought he'd left behind. So now Sommer has hundreds of these incredibly personal stories. But you know how the scientific community works. To convince them, he needed more than anecdotes. He needed cold, hard data. And, as it turns out, the internet wasn't just a source of stories. It was a gold mine of hard evidence. And this is the most incredible twist in this whole story. The validation didn't come from some fancy university study or a big clinical trial. It came from analyzing the digital breadcrumbs people were leaving all over the internet as they desperately searched for answers. I mean, check this out. Using Google Trends, Sommer saw that searches for maladaptive daydreaming weren't just consistent, they completely dwarfed searches for related, official terms like mind-wandering. And look at that huge spike in 2020 during the pandemic lockdowns. People, stuck at home, isolated and online, were identifying with this experience more than ever. The public was, in a way, diagnosing itself. And if you think that's wild, get this. A quick search for web pages mentioning maladaptive daydreaming brought back nearly 1.3 million results. That is almost the exact same number as dissociative disorders, a category that's been in the official diagnostic manuals for decades. The internet had built an entire universe of articles, forums, and support groups around this idea, all without any official stamp of approval.
So this massive public interest, this mountain of data generated by ordinary people, well, it finally forced the scientific and medical establishments to sit up and pay attention. The years of silence were officially over.
And the recognition just came in a flood. Suddenly, major news outlets like CNN, The Guardian, The Wall Street Journal, they were all covering it. Online communities just exploded. The Reddit group alone has over 128,000 members now. And most importantly, the scientific community finally got on board, with 177 academic papers now published on the subject.
Okay, cool. Oh, I didn't even realize there was a Reddit. I but I'm not a big Reddit person. So I didn't even realize there was such a huge community on Reddit. That's interesting.
And this all led to the ultimate step, the holy grail of validation. A team of the world's top researchers formally proposed that maladaptive daydreaming be added to the DSM, the absolute Bible of psychiatric diagnosis. So what started with just 6 patients and 1 forgotten paper is now on the verge of official recognition, all because thousands of people online refuse to stay silent.
This whole story just leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. It completely flips the script on how we think medical conditions are discovered. It's not always this top-down process from the experts anymore. This was a bottom-up revolution, driven by the community itself. So in our connected world, who really holds the power to legitimize our experiences? Is it the experts in their labs, or is it the communities of people who can now find each other, share their truths, and demand to be heard? It's definitely something to think about.
Okay. If as far as I know, it's still not in the DSM. When is it going to be in the DSM? Okay, now this is his second video, or this is his channel, and
Today, we're diving into a hidden world, a place where the mind and body are locked in this incredible, well, you could call it a dance of survival.
okay, let's look at the. I think this one is about movements, repetitive movements. Some people pace, and I've heard some people actually have hand movements too. That's not something I do. I've never had those kind of things. I actually am more likely to sit very, very, very still. And yeah, so, but let's listen.
Maybe you're pacing back and forth, rocking gently, or just tapping your fingers without even really thinking about it. It happens, right? But what if that movement wasn't just some random quirk? Well, for millions of people, it's so much more. It's a compulsive, rhythmic dance that literally unlocks a vivid inner world. This is the story of that dance, what's known as maladaptive daydreaming. And listen to this. It's from someone who lives with it, and it just captures the whole thing perfectly. If you see me pacing and muttering, understand this. I'm not just making movements. I'm on a journey to another place. Wow. So you see, it's not about fidgeting. It's about travel. So where does a connection this powerful even start? As it turns out, the clues start showing up really early on, back in childhood. Let's just take a quick look at how researchers figured this out. It really started back in 2010. A study found that, hey, some of these kids with repetitive movements, they're actually deep in this exciting, imaginative play. Then a few years later, neurologists gave it a name, intense imagery movements. And get this, just this year, a new study finally confirmed what many had suspected all along. These childhood movements are often the very first step toward adult maladaptive daydreaming. And this quote from a 22-year-old just shows you exactly how that happens. They said, I have to hold a pen and spin it while I pace back and forth, and music in my headphones. That's a must. Without it, it just doesn't work. So you see how something that might have been a simple, joyful movement as a kid can evolve into this very specific, absolutely essential ritual as an adult. For the longest time, this whole thing was a complete mystery. It was something people did in private, and honestly, a lot of them felt ashamed about it. But then, scientists started to connect the dots. They kept noticing this pattern over and over again. In interviews, people would talk about this deep, powerful need to move. It became obvious that the fantasies weren't just happening in the mind. The body was a huge part of the story. You couldn't understand the daydreaming without understanding the dance. And one study, well, it blew the whole thing wide open. And it all came down to this one single number, 79%.
Just think about that for a second. 79%. So what is that number? It comes from a foundational study back in 2011. A staggering 79% of people in that study said their daydreaming was always or often accompanied by physical activity. This was huge. It meant movement wasn't just some little side effect, it was a core feature, a defining characteristic of the whole experience. Okay, so if the movement is that central, what's it actually like for the person doing it? What does it feel like from the inside? Well, researchers have broken it down into 4 key elements. So you've got 4 main themes. First, there's the need, this powerful, almost physical pull to move. Then there's the variety, and we'll see it's a huge range of personal movements. Third is awareness, which can shift from being totally deliberate to completely automatic. And finally, and this is the big one, the function. What is the purpose of the movement? And this quote,
Oop, I wanted to show that. Oh, no, let me go back a little bit. I want to look at that. Okay, the need. Mm, compulsion. So like I'm in that small percentage that doesn't do the movements, but variety, personal, realistic movements. I've heard a lot about the pacing, and some people talk about fidgeting with their hands. I can't think right offhand some of the things they described, but awareness, sense of control from deliberate to automatic. Hmm. Function. I don't know about the function part, but let's see if they have any additional.
and this quote just nails that first theme, the need. Someone said, I can't daydream without moving. The body demands it. It's like pressing an on button for my imagination. It's not a choice, you see, it's a compulsion. It's literally the on button for their entire inner world. And that brings us to the next theme, variety. There isn't just one daydreaming dance. Oh no, it is incredibly personal. For one person, it might be pacing back and forth for hours. For someone else, it's spinning an object, maybe whispering dialogue, dancing to music, even just making facial expressions. The range is just vast. All right, and this is where things get really, really important. Because these repetitive movements, well, they can look a lot like behaviors from other conditions. And that can lead to years, sometimes decades, of misunderstanding and misdiagnosis. Let me tell you about someone we'll call Liam. At age 6, he was diagnosed with autism. Why? Because of his repetitive movements and because he seemed withdrawn. But at age 26, he felt like something wasn't right, that his stimming felt different. He sought a new evaluation. And what they found was that after 20 years, his diagnosis was corrected. It wasn't autism, it was maladaptive daydreaming. This is the whole point, right here. It all comes down to the purpose of the movement.
Wait a minute. They corrected his diagnosis. If maladaptive daydreaming is not in the DSM, how can you have that as a diagnosis? What country was this in? I'm wondering. That's interesting.
With maladaptive daydreaming, the movement is about the story. It's an act of embodiment. You're bringing the fantasy to life. But with autism spectrum disorder, that movement, or stimming, is usually for self-regulation. It's a way to handle sensory input or calm down anxiety. Same look, maybe, but the why behind it, it's a world of difference. So, what's really going on here? How does this mind-body connection get so powerful? Well, it turns out it's a loop, a really powerful, self-sustaining loop. Okay, so here's how it works. Step 1, a vivid daydream starts to form. Step 2, that daydream triggers this urge to move, to embody the story. Step 3, the movement itself makes the fantasy even deeper, more real. And step 4, that more intense fantasy makes you want to move more. And boom, you've got this powerful cycle that just keeps reinforcing itself. And what's really cool is we can actually see this happening in the brain. Brain scans show that it's not just the imagination parts that light up. The neural networks that control physical movement and process sensory information, they're highly active too. It's like the brain is gearing up the body for a journey it thinks is actually happening. And this quote it sums the whole thing up so beautifully. Quote, "The mind, when it moves, does not move alone. It carries the body with it." It's
Did they really do an MRI while someone was daydreaming? Because I have not heard about that study.
not a passive thing. The mind is the director, and the body is its star actor. So, learning about all this, it just reveals one incredibly profound connection. And it really makes you wonder, right? What other secrets are hidden in that dance between our bodies and our minds? What other hidden conversations are going on all the time?
Well, that ended abruptly, but it was interesting. So, what do you guys think? Let me see if I can drop this out of there. I'm gonna go ahead just remove it from the scene. Okay, there we go. What do you guys think? What do you think? Hmm. Well, I'm glad they're still doing a lot of study, and I think these little videos they're putting out, these short little snippets, and they're very well produced and a great way to get information out there. I think that's really good. Um, let's see. I'm going to throw up a little thumbnail here. So now that was the only thing I really had to go over with you guys. I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit longer if you guys just want to hang out, something to listen to. I'm going to do the thumbnail for this if y'all want to come along for the ride. I'm not going to show all my crap on my computer. I know you don't want to see all that crap, but let's see. Let me get my screen share back up there and window. I think it's right here. Affinity. Yep. Let's see if you are. Um, I don't see it. Oh, I haven't added it. Gotta add it to the screen. Okay, this is my affinity window. So I'm gonna see if I gonna just make a quick little thumbnail for this. What would you put on the thumbnail for this? Let's see if I've got any affinity file thumbnails already started. Affinity files. Oh, I've only got the one. Okay. I really liked this thumbnail. I hate that my video for it was so short because it was a really, I like the thumbnail. So let's see, but we've got layers here. So we're going to leave the maladaptive daydreaming chat and well, let's change this to, what did we talk about today? We talked about um, summer clinic new videos. Which was the ones we looked at? There were two. Okay, I can't get it to open up here. Oh, I closed the window. Dang it. I closed the window. Okay. Well, I can open it back up, I guess. Let me open it back up. See if I can get back to where I was. Go back to summer clinic. No, I want to go to the clinic. Sorry, I don't have this window open, so y'all not seeing. um, videos. Latest, maybe? Where is it? Dang it. Now I can't find the videos that I just watched. Let's see. Okay. The one we just watched, I can't find it. Why is that? That is crazy. All right. Hmm. Okay, so well, we'll just do something different then. What's something would make be interesting on the thumbnail for the new videos. I was going to actually put his thumbnails like a clip of that. Okay, it was about, let's say, one of the videos was pretty much just about what it is, and the other one was about movements. So what is a good image to talk about movement? So let's see if we can find an image about movement, something that we could use. What kind of ideas you got? Movement. No, all my stuff I got on here is craziness. Now on their thumbnail, oh, I know where I saw it. And I hope I'm not boring you guys, but like I said, if you just want to hang out and have something to listen to, fine. If not, there's not going to be any more detailed information. But I'm going to go and see where he originally posted it. Okay. Okay, he had like a brain. Did he make it? Ah! It started playing. Sorry, scared me. Ah, Dance of Survival. All right, they're showing. Hmm. I could make like just a screenshot of that. Just a screenshot of just a clip. Maybe. Maybe. Because I don't know why it's not. Because we just watched those two videos. Just watched them. But when I go to his channel, it's not there. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, 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 nope. Scrolled on down. That's weird. Now, I'm just going to grab a quick screenshot of those two. But you see, when I actually go to the video page, they're gone. It's really weird. Oh, okay. Sorry. I figured it out. You have to go to the watched page. Okay. I'm going to. All right. So we'll see what this looks like. And that would be under screenshots. Yep. I did two. I need to delete one. Oops. Oh, I'm good at Affinity files. Do, do, do. Okay. I just screenshotted that. Now, where is it? Oh my gosh. This is craziness. Where is. Okay. It had to refresh. Got it. All right. What do you think? I might could just stick this in there. Make sure we're above this. Oh, and pop it in there. Ooh, that's little. All right, we still need to get rid of this background image. Let's see if what we had before. We had that. We had snow. Oh, I'm looking for our actual image from the channel. So let me see if I can find that. That would be probably in my YouTube setup. Yep. Group banner thing. Group banner. Let's do that. Okay, I hit open. There we go. All right, so I'm going to pop this in there. And is small, so I need to. Okay. Okay, and let's go up to this one. So what do you think? This move us over? Make this small? I think it needs to be a little, it's kind of hit in the way of the, what do you think? Let's get rid of all the buttons. I think that'll work. What do you think? Okay, so I'm going to save that and export it as an image into my thumbnails. Oops, I gotta change the name. Um, okay. All right, guys, got that done. Now I'm going to get off here. I've got to get some work done. I worked the last 2 days and I don't do anything when I'm working 12-hour shifts. So today I actually have to do stuff. So let me take off this screen share thing. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here and I hope y'all have a wonderful day and conquer your MD and be productive or have fun or whatever it is you want to do.